Peace, 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 beautiful souls. Supreme rising. Supreme, supreme, supreme rising. I hope everyone is well. It's a beautiful day in Zamunda. Happy Tuesday. I just wanted to get on here and just make us a little bit more wiser as, you know, something comes to my being. Hi, Supreme Rising, Sticks Diary. Supreme Rising. What you doing up so early? Oh God, Supreme Rising. You up early with us. Up early with us, Supreme Rising. I just wanted to come on here. The more I get to understand, and let me make this a little bit clear. I don't proclaim, you know, I'm scratching the surface with a lot of this. Most of the things that I put forth and bring, you know, to the surface, it's really scratching the surface, but I'm hoping to stimulate an aspect of many of you's being, you know, to delve deeper, because we all have our own light codes that may be able to decipher. It's just, you just need a crack, you know, a crack in the code, and then your body, your embodied light may be able to take it one step further. So, you know, I know that I'm just scratching the surface, but, you know, I bring whatever little that I have to the forefront, because I know that, you know, each of us have our own light codes that is able to decipher or take it to the next level. Just like Nipsey Hussle said, the marathon continues. It's a marathon. You know, we're handing each other the baton, right? So, you know, I may not be, you know, 100%, but I know that I'm headed in the right direction. So, you know, it's a surface level type thing, but I'm doing my best. You know, I'm doing my best in the little that I do understand. But there's another thing that came to my being that I want to share with you guys, that we have to understand that this matrix has to be consensual. We have to consent to being a part of this matrix. And the quote unquote quote slavery aspect of being is all alchemical in nature, meaning that it's all mathematically done, quantumly done, right? The very thing that we know the least about, right? But the simplistic aspect of it is that regardless of how it's done alchemically or quantumly, we have to give quantum consent. Now, what is quantum consent? Quantum consent is simply your being in agreement with it at some level, at some capacity mentally, because all is mind in this illusionary aspect of being, right? So all we have to do as a collective is quantumly no longer consent to being a part of the illusionary aspects of the matrix, right? It's all alchemical and in nature, right? And we are just now getting the gist of who we are at a quantum level or a quantum aspect of being, right? So, but the one thing is that you cannot violate free will. You cannot violate free will. And, you know, this is why the push has been so egregious in nature in terms of getting us to be more consumed or connected to artificial stances and artificial means of being, right? And you just have to truly no longer consent to it. Even if you are, you know, going to work every day, or, you know, participating in something because we're on the frequency of survival. alchemically in your mind, all you have to do is like say, I no longer consent to this. I no longer consent to this. And the alchemical process in the energetic aspect of that will start to conjure. It will start to come together. But the thing of it is that we have to collectively be on board with that. But the reason why we're not collectively on board with it is because we do not understand the properties of how it is conceptualized, right? We think that the consent has to be verbal or our action. But I will always remind you that anything that we do in the physical is the latter. You have to consent to it in the mind before the body even through force, right? Even through a force, you have to consent through it through the mind. So let's say if you are being, let's go through the ideologies of what they try to represent slavery as. Well, even though we were beaten and abused physically in the physical side of self, right? In the physical, to just give you, because all of that is also illusionary in nature too as well. But even though we were, they said, and I don't find no validity into that story. That was just another aspect of alchemically, because of the mind. Alchemically, always think of your mind is in the alchemic aspect of being, right? That was just another way to alchemically get us to believe, right, that we were physically slaves, but the slave aspect is still alchemically consensual, right? It's still alchemically. So as a result of the beating, as a result of the hanging, you made an agreement to go along with it because out of fear, you did not want to be killed. You did not want to be hanged. You did not want to be burned. So we still consented out of fear, right? We alchemically consented. So it's an alchemic consensual aspect of being that creates the illusion of this matrix. It has to be consensual. So if you do no longer consent alchemically, right? Alchemically consent, right? Then that would change the dynamics of this matrix because it has to be consensual. This is why they stay threatening your livelihood. That's a falsity, but we believe in it. And so therefore, alchemically, we create the consent, right? Because we believe in a falsity or a facade or an illusionary aspect of being. If we no longer alchemically consent, because all of this has to be consensual. Another thing that I'm going to constantly remind you of is that they're harnessing negative energy. So understand when you see all of these things that are trying to promote negativity, I don't care how real it may appear in this illusionary aspect of being. Remember, the physical is the latter. It is what it's already been. It's what's already been manifested. It is what already has been alchemically created, right? So if we understand that, right, you no longer buy into the illusionary aspect of being. And listen, I'm scratching the surface. I know that it gets deeper than this. I will be the first to tell you that it does. But if I can just create it from a simplistic sense of understanding just to get it going, because remember, we all have a role. And we're all alchemically charged with different frequency light codes, so that I can just simply pass the baton to you, because there's a frequency light code that understand it at the certain. All you needed was the crack. It's just the crack in the code, and I pass the baton to you, and the marathon continues, family. That's what Nipsey Hussle meant when he said the marathon continue. Just because you knock my avatar down does not mean that this process of us awakening, it is going to stop. The marathon will continue whether my avatar is here or not. Okay? The marathon continues. That's what Nipsey meant when he said the marathon continues. We have to understand and understand that aspect. So I'm just bringing this. I know this is kind of somewhat deep, so early in the rising, but hey, that's when it came to me. So that's when I'm sharing it with you in the energy that it was given to me, in the strength of the energy and frequency that it was given to me. The marathon continues. I know that it's maybe surface level, but I'm passing it on to you. Also, family, I'm going to say this, and I normally don't say this, but they are not exposing my lives anymore. I've been told by several people that they don't even see that I'm live. Some may see, but many people are not seeing it. Okay. Some is also sharing it, and it's not being shared. So, if I'm gonna try to make the lives a little bit short so that maybe you can screen record it and share it, because they're not allowing it to be shared, or they're not even sending any type of notifications that I'm live. Some people may see notification, but many people are not. This is what I'm being told. So what that says to me is that there may be some level of significance, because they no longer can make me angry anymore. It doesn't faze me. I'm in a different space. I stopped seeing your lives a few weeks ago too. Yeah, because they're not indicating that I'm live or anything like that. Because the thing of it is that I promote the energies and frequencies that I'm promoting right now. It's not conducive to sustaining this matrix. This matrix need low vibrational energies. So this is why they're now trying to go after people that did PPPs and PPP loans and everything. Remember, they need people to stress. They need people to be in a mental state of struggle. That's low vibrational energy. So when you see the news and the media talking about they're going after people with instantaneously, I know it might seem real, right? But instantaneously to be reminded that they need to do this to harness low vibrate. They don't care about the subject matter. They just want to harness low vibrational energies and frequencies. So this is why they're threatening people with the PPPs, talking about jail. All of that is low vibrational frequency that they need to harness in order to sustain the matrix. If you just understand that small aspect of an analogy. So when you see in this country, because I know many countries have many different ways of putting out the low vibrational frequencies to sustain. I had to look for your account and interact with it before the notifications for your live started popping up again. Wow. Yeah. I've been getting it. People been coming to me saying that they don't know that I'm live and this and that or whatever. And I think you do have to become more, I guess that's enough. I guess the gist of it, if you really interested in what I got to say, you'll search for it. But for them to push the algorithm for the content that I push out, they're not going to do it, because it's not conducive to maintaining this matrix, because the energetic bandwidth that I'm on frequency is probably too high, and that's counterproductive to what it is that they need energetically and frequency to sustain the matrix. They don't need nobody talking high frequency, because they can't sustain in a high frequency energetic field. So that is not conducive to them. So they're not going to push what I'm putting out. It's all about energy. It's about the energy. I've seen it happen before, but this is definitely a heavy thing that they're doing. Yes, it's all about the energy. They could care less about the content. It's the energies that is pushing it, because they cannot sustain in a high frequency or a high vibrational aspect, energetic field. They cannot sustain. So you're going to have to look for my information or screen record it. I'm not going to try to make it long so that way you can screen record it. But this particular Rising Live, I do want you guys to share, because it came to me just like that. So to give you an idea, when you see now that they're trying to arrest people for PPP loans and in this and that or whatever, and you got people that are executing it because they're still living in this illusionary reality as it being solidified and real, understand that's another ploy and a plot, because they need low vibrational energies. And that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother situation, energetic situation. If we start looking at things energetically and seeing the energies that is being pushed, that should denote what energy that they need to sustain. So now the PPP loans, the sicknesses, all of that family, that's low vibration. So it's now understood that that's what they need to sustain. So this is where now that's a reminder to you that you have to rise above it. You cannot give it life, right? The alchemical consent, alchemical consent, right? Energetic consent. They need the energetic consent to maintain and sustain this matrix. So that's where it all begins, middle, and ends. It's consensual. They regardless of what, they have to have your consent. So what they do is figure out a way to forcefully through fear to get you to consent. Because just like I use the analogy of slavery. Yes, you consented. You consented because you didn't want to be killed. You consented because you did not want to, whatever the fear factor that presented made you consent. They don't care how the consent is conceptualized as long as they get the consent, because they overstand that it has to be consensual. Right? So we gotta understand our alchemic presence, right? What we utilize. I'm going to end here. As I say, screen record this live, and then share it, because as I said, I cracked the ice. I'm cracking the ice, and I'm sending I'm giving you guys the baton to take it to each one that can crack it further, that can make it more cohesive for us to understand, right? Comprehensive, so we can comprehend it, right? That's the most important thing right now, is our comprehension of what it is. So I'm going to end here, you guys, because I got to get inside. But I'm just sharing this because it just came to me so strongly and so heavily this rising. And I just feel like, it was just a necessity for me to do it now. And so I did. So I love you guys immensely. Have an amazing day. If you guys want me to talk more about it, inbox me. I'm not even getting no inboxes, fam. I don't know. I don't know. It has really changed. The dynamics has really changed, but that's fine. All right. But do whatever you can to get, to contact me if you guys want me to elaborate more on certain things, because the dialogue and the conversations has to commence, because we got to know what we're giving consent to. And you don't have to verbalize it. You don't say, I no longer, you could say it to yourself, but in the mind, alchemically in the mind, you are creating alchemical consent. Understand that. So you stop now and say, what am I alchemically consenting to? What am I conjuring energetically, right? What am I conjuring energetically, right? In codes with my light code ability into a consensual alchemical process. We now got to speak science. We got to speak science. We got to speak spiritual science. I love you guys. I got to go. I love you. Oh, thank you. Gratitude. I love you. Thank you. Have an amazing day, y'all. Love you guys. Later.